Oh.
Okay. Skyscraper. Not quite sure what's going on. Oh. I think... Okay, never mind.
I like...
What's happening? Like, how do we end up being on the wrong map in a pre-recorded?
Apparently, everybody... So it said chalet for everybody.
But we are here on Skyscraper.
That's interesting. We're definitely on Skyscraper. It would be so funny if that was an actual problem that needed rehost and we still didn't cut it out of this pre-recorded file. Like if they were just like, yeah, we'll keep it in.
We'll keep
add
it
to
in.
the realism. Yeah, keep it in. Don't cut that. Skyscraper, Kaid, Thermite, Ying, still continually banned in all of the series that we've had today.
Having seen quite a lot of bans, yeah, on Ying. So removing that. Cade has apparently been a problem, so we're getting rid of that Thermite as well. And Azami, the final one. I mean, we've seen Azami cause quite some problems everywhere, on every single map, on every single site. It's always a solid choice to go with, so nothing to be upset about there. Now, G2, you've lost the first map. It's only, 10 grand and some SR points on the line. Nothing big, What are you going to do to bring it back? How are you going to bring it back? Well, yes, play Siege. That's a good first step, Emmy. Okay, so step 1 is play Siege.
Step 1 is play Siege. Step 2, play Siege well.
Okay, yes. And step 3, play better than your opponent? Is that? Yeah. Okay. That's how you win the Invitational, everybody. That's Fabian's known 3-step plan on how to beat any team. We've just outed him right there.
Can't argue. Got 3 hammers.
Yeah, it definitely works. 3 steps, 3 hammers?
3 steps, 3 hammers.
Yeah.
It's a simple
mathematical equation, yes.
So when Virtus Pro are on this map, in the series that got them here and they lost it, it opened with 3 rounds going away from them. And they went quite quick. And we had a couple of questions as to their hold setup here. Most notably, they sort of had a weird extension towards the top of Black. They'd put a shield there and not really have anybody sit around and keep it. They wouldn't try and hold on to the territory, which you see a lot of teams do, which is fine, depending on how the hold's situated. They ended up just accidentally giving utility towards the approach of Wild, who made full use of it. So I'm curious to see what changes Virtus Pro have here on their defense, where at the start, as I said, things were kind of easily punished by their opponents.
And very quickly here. Just going to be hiding now, lurking around. Maybe a drop comes through 1 point, or maybe someone moves into the line of sight at some point. Doki already up very close into the back stairs, takes out the barbed wire, but instantly rotates off. Of course, it is quite a big telltale if you punch that out, so it's not going to stick around for too long. And VP, the majority of them are actually on the opposite side, not really able to directly contest if a side execute does come through in the next couple seconds.
Well, there's the wall getting popped open, down in a position to crossfire against it, and Shepard giving them a rotate round into the back. Gold, they have the player tucked underneath the hatch itself, and they're maybe hoping to get a lucky catch and a rotate. Always giving it some space, and Blur is going to give them a bit more space as well. Suffered massively from a bit of damage dealt towards him. I'm assuming that was the cap cans rather than a direct impact, but now it'll only take a sliver of the impact to knock him over to the end. Almost a full catch onto Shepard as well. Well, we're blinking health bars on a couple of different people. He's going to sit very close to an ADS for some safety.
Better be safe. Better be close as well for that safety. Putting up the shield out there. Very much aware that if another impact hits, it's going to be the end of his life. G2 slowly creeping themselves away in. It's just that, you have these openings up in the wall now for Karaoke, but the wall on the opposite side has been opened up as well, so plan's not really on the board here. Need to find a different space, a different safe space. Just look at how heavy they are indeed underneath Karaoke. Looking to take that under control always. He might be going to go for a drop there and actually try and contest it.
They're sort of making the statement of where they want to go here, but you've got to draw some attention away because, I mean, the health of Blur, it will not take much to get rid of him on the board, and you have smokes, you have impact, you have dangerous positions of these players that can bounce their way across. Talking of, whoops.
I mean, he didn't have the best of games in the first map. That isn't a great start to the second as well. Blur is about to be getting that diffuser down. Pasha will take down Virtue though before Elamau comes in with the cover just in time. He's still out on a rappel. That's going to be a saving grace for G2. Blur might have been able to make his way out in the meantime as well, as Doki just comes across. He's outside of Gage, just holding on, seeing if he can provide an extra angle for later on. But as Blur now drops, it's basically up to Elamau. He's the one close to that diffuser. Doki is being covered off. There is a player still prone out there, and they're going to go for a swing instead. No. They're going to go and try and go for the counter defuse. Elamau somehow didn't see him in the first attempt. It is going to be the kill that comes through. It's only up to Doki now. He gets down. Is there enough time? Yes, there is. Joystick is going to be able to get that defuse down in time and secure the round for Virtus Pro.
Oh, there's a bit of moment there. I think if you're Doki, I'm not sure if he thought someone was on the kit. If he'd have held a second, then it's a 1 versus 1, and even if he loses it a second later, he wins. They had the read that a player had hopped out. Elamau got the one that was on the kit, and maybe there was a miscommunication there. Oh, that is a bitter moment for G2. Coming in on the back, they lost that first body to an accident with a grenade, and then still got the kit down. Blur, as I said, for what he did with barely any health, is great. However, that last step is one that's probably going to haunt Doki a little bit.
The thing is with Blur, right? He did everything he needed to do. He got that defuse down in a spot that was quite defensible. It's just that for him, there was no way out. Like, the way out of that window is to repel, because if he would have jumped, if it would have even been possible to jump, he would have fell to his death. So it's like he would be doomed either way. So he just decided to stick it, hope for the best, got smoked out and destroyed. Doki, as you mentioned, had to wait a second and he would have been fine, and it would have been a round win for G2. But like Blur, everything he had to do, he did right there. It's just a shame he lost Benja that early on to that self-nade. It's not really having the best of the day today. Or best of the day as
2 days ago.
2 days ago, yes.
Yeah. A little bit of time ago. I mean, it's a bit of a tragedy, I think, for G2, you know. And it's fair enough that you can sort of say, well, he's had a fantastic season. He was a big part of him getting the hammer. The drive that he's had is incredible, but it just shows you how much you miss him when the performances, you know, everybody's got to have an off day at the office from time to time, or an off map, and you hope that his is just the map, the C4 to secure the wall. They can get the kill on the back of it, but another Selma will come through and they go for the swing, but Doki has the catch on Dan. The bait and the preparation, the wall will open. The back is now a lot more dangerous, and you see Joystick under pressure around Drum as well a little bit onto the terrace window.
Up, rotating around, Joystick with that Oryx has the speed, has the opportunity to be versatile here, flexible. In the mirror window as well, it's going to be finding himself in a way where he's going to have to stop any form of rotation from one side of the building to the other. Phone calls go down. It's going to be helping G2 to try and lock down these loose players, of which Joystick, of course, is part of.
He's doing his best, just keeping awareness on all the different sides, but as the calls echo out, he's expecting a swing sooner rather than later. With the pressure in the back of Drum opened, Blur doesn't quite feel confident enough to go for it on a full take. There's the drone reveal of Joystick. They slip him back. Pasha's there for some support, but they're going to hand some of the territory over. Pasha actually moves in. Joystick takes control of the Shrine, is maybe going to lock in the support over to it. They're just sitting under the procs. They're baiting a swim there, but they do get rid of it. He's just on his drone. He doesn't care.
Attackers drop the bomb diffuser.
Waiting for that utility, waiting for the next push, G2. They have that opening. They just need to find a little bit more to make something happen here. He always is in a very pivotal position out here in Lounge. Benja finds Joystick. This time the grenade will land on the right person. Always is going to be leaning into the fight, unable to quite get the kill. Walks right in front of the breach as Doki gets the kill. And now they're in on the side of G to a C4 will pop off onto Benjamaster. Doki finds himself on the side, but gets taken down as he panics a little bit trying to run through, and that means the diffuser is now dropped on the ground. In a 2-on-2 situation, Blur and Elamau not having it in hand. Free Fire is also missing from Elamau's side before he finally gets Shepard.
The plant is being attempted on the swing. Pasha's able to get one more. It's another post plant 1 versus 1. Pasha hops up, drops down, and there's Blur. Is able to just get that final kill. Had a little bit more time, had all the audio, and had the catch on the up and the down. G2, they're able to keep themselves level early on. They get the first back, and to be fair, that was how the first map went as well. They did get the second too, but they're looking for that decisive third. They want to try and keep that pressure up as we go to the same site once again, staying on the top floor here. And G2, and good early take to pretty close to the wire execute.
He's close to the wire, but the round count is all that matters in the end of it. It's it's better to take those 5 extra seconds if you need them than to just start panicking and rush through and basically offer yourselves up to Brutus Pro in that matter. And yes, it gets close to the wire at that point, but you might be more secure doing it that way rather than the panic. That we did see slightly from Doki as he tried to dig in deep. He wasn't really able to find a safe spot, was being shot at, trying to take out a Mew Gemmer at the very same time, and then got himself killed. Those things could be coming in very costly later on. Still weird seeing Doki on like a heart breach with the diffuser though. It's not something I would have expected to see when we started off the map, but
I mean, sure, Ace is hard breach, but
also has a good gun with the AK.
Also has a good gun. Has, I don't know, Ace can give himself angles and abilities. A bit more of a swing virtue with the grenade, just bounced
unfortunately
underneath. Yeah, did not quite get the Mew Jammer. The wall will fall. It's just a matter of how much you got to throw at it to get it open.
That's always it, right? Like, you're expecting these walls to open up. It's just how much utility are you going to be tossing at it? Like, how effective are you at opening up these walls? We have Alamau in all the way alone. There's no support for him yet, and that is quite problematic, especially as I believe there is going to be a visitor coming in from VP. Just realizing there's a shield out there, dealing small amounts of damage. Be aware of the fact that the shield's out there. Benja now trying to provide some support from down below, just waiting for some calls to come through. And as that mirror window gets pinged out, a grenade gets tossed in instantly afterwards. Just a shame no one's about it to be caught off by it.
Ooh, a bit of a scrape from the far side as well. Benja's watching to make sure they don't go for the full rotate. The blind's over the top, and you can see they just wanted to forcibly take this territory this time round. Wants to drop the cap can so he can enter, and there it is. We'll just slink his way through. They have a second impact, and that's going to put Alamau very low. Still standing though, and the opponent's answer know just how close he is to death. It will only take a sliver of another explosive, but look at the force of G2 coming behind it. Shrine Windows under pressure. They have Terrace, and they're trying to sneak their way in. Joystick's trying to sneak his way right back. There's a strike onto one. The kit is down. They got to quickly try and pick this kill back up. Benja, he's looking for the engagement, but Joystick wins it out once again. Retook the drum and hit it as loud as he liked to sort of say the statement, I am here. And now G2 is not.
Also, I wanted to say, like, Pasha ready to go for a bit of a bait. He's still out there with that C4. Has it ripped for, like... Oh, just put it back in. I was going to say, has it ripped for a long time. As always finds Virtue. Only Doki and Alamau left now, and this round seems pretty much lost. There's 40 seconds left on the clock. Doki just leading into an actual fight out there, having opened up with the Selmas. His position now given away by the proc sensor, so he has to jump back out. Doesn't want to stick around. And as that Selma didn't open up any further than that as well, he just gets his head removed by Dad. And Alamau's just shaking it off. He's like, what do you do? Like, okay, what do you do as a multi right now in a 1v5 with about 20 HP in 20 seconds? That's a timeout. Like, that's talking. There's nothing else you can do.
Watching the Monty as well. No cams. They're all just buzzing around
on the balcony,
looking for the fight. Oh,
just too late for the kill.
Just too late. I mean, it was a great response, the perfect response from Virtus Pro there. They lent back in, and obviously how much of it was Joystick retaking that control there. As he said, Pasha was there for some support. They did the damage to the Monty, but it was the good read of they're resting a lot of weight for control of this space specifically, because they know that we played this space specifically, the swing between the sort of catwalk and shrine at the top, where they've got the mirror window, is where Virtus Pro held up a lot of time. G2 thought they had the way to crack it, but Joystick had a different idea. Back to Karaoke, and this could have very easily, the difference was a second as to being G2's round.
Now, Virtus.pro, when it played against Wild, of course, lost Skyscraper with a 7-4 scoreline. That first half was a 3-3 split. They were playing that on the defense. There's going to be a benchmark we are looking out for if VP is going to be able to get 3 or 4 rounds. They are, you know, doing either just as well or better than expected on their defense. So that's going to be their goal. And try and expand their lead to 3 now, and then see if they can find another one elsewhere. Alamo bringing the sense, though. It's not an operator we see often, and they're the roly-polies or the light screens, whatever you want to call them, often do get used in like an execute where you quickly try and run through and gain as much ground as you possibly can, but, you know, if they meet Dan on the other side, yes, those impacts he can just use to destroy those light screens. And the Warden on the board as well, and Pasha can just look through. So they need to be very careful on when to use them and, you know, when to go for them.
Venge's tucked, waiting patiently underneath, and as we said, you know, him continuing to not quite have a big taste and impact onto this fight is costing G2. The longer that goes on, you know there's the possibility of him activating. He just has to get into that position where he can. Doki, in the meantime, he's doing the lead-in work that he's done so well so far. They're seeing if they can try and get a pinch onto the players. There is some of the ADS support. Shepard should be safe from at least one, but it's always that finds Doki, and Joystick finds Alamau. And there with the hop round, the Jaeger, he's able to get himself all the way around the side of Black. And I said it at the very beginning of this whole showdown, is the caution that was sort of paid to Black.
Beautiful.
Great take. Wasn't the full read. And look at this, talking of, swings his way in, tries to find a fight on the side, pre-fires the side of the door and gets himself out there before it becomes the full true danger. Talking of my original point, it seems like they're paying more attention to the danger of Black. Ooh.
Beautiful shot from Pasha to come through, and for a second there, G2 almost had the opportunity to truly capitalize off, you know, that first kill. They managed to find onto the grenade, instantly able to move through, but quickly taking damage right afterwards. Virtue having to fall back. Instantly the ground you just gained has been lost. You've given VP the opportunity to try and get back into it. It's funny to see, though, if you're looking at VP's hold. The side is Karaoke T. It's only 2 players on the side, and the other 2 are watching from afar as Blur takes a lot of damage. That's now playing on contact. They know he's in here now. Is he going to be able to get the catch on the player out there? No, not the case. Virtue will find one, but it's going to be a 1-on-3 now. He needs to clutch this out to bring G2 back onto even scoreboards here.
Oh, it's not going to be the easiest task, and with a small amount of time and with everything being prophesized ahead of him by bullets, Virtus.pro aren't handing him anything. They're keeping everything close to their chest. They have the swings and the side angles, and, well, he might have the kit, and he might have a view onto the site, but doesn't mean he has the safety to go for it. Still not being handed anything. They finally pop up, and, oh no. No more bullets in that gun. What a tragedy.
I mean, that round was basically over already, you know? I mean, sure, there is an opportunity to always clutch it out, but there was basically no ground for Virtue to really walk through. He didn't really have side control. There was no opportunity for him to get the kit down safely and then play the post plan afterwards. So tactical timeout gets called after 2 rounds where they basically slowly ran out of time, being in like a 1vx situation very early on. And thus now Fabian having the time to talk to his team to see if he can get them back on the road. Something that worked incredibly well during the 6th Invitational. He had to shout against them once, and after that, no timeout really needed from that same sternness anymore. Won the entire thing. Do you reckon he's shouting at them now, though? Or, well, 2 days ago.
I reckon he's got some strong words.
What kind of words would he use, do you think? We've worked with him, so
Swedish words.
Don't think people would understand that. Maybe Benja would, but the others, I don't think so.
Doesn't matter. I think you know, he'll be getting him off his chest.
Yeah. No. Loud and clear.
defenders. Protect your bombs from being.
And thus, after the timeouts, VP have already achieved what they managed to get against Wild. 3 rounds on the defense. Now, they only managed to get a single one on the attack, so it's business now for VP to get as many more as they possibly can on that defense. Try and get themselves up to 4, up to 5. Buy yourself that buffer that you might need. Because the desk mentioned it, G2 loves to play Sky.
10 seconds remaining.
Doesn't really come out yet, the way they portrayed it. But
Yeah, I
that could
think-
just as well happen in the second half.
Well, that's why they're taking that time out. That's why they're having that conversation is, for GT's money, it should be going better than it is. Their play isn't as unified as they can be doing. They're not quite in this position where they're having these ideas, they're having this momentum, but the siege itself just isn't quite cracking what they're up against here from Virtus Pro. And the big telltale sign of that is how sort of balanced the kill board is across pretty much everybody. They're generally all getting into fights, but Virtus Pro as a unit are just succeeding more with the motions that they're making. And that's what missing from G2. They have to try and rein everybody back together and sort of say, look, technically we're doing the right thing. We just need to try and find a way to execute that with a little bit more sharpness and confidence in what we're doing. The Pacia break over onto the side, the preparation onto Shrine.
The line might be a difference maker here, bringing in the E1Ds to stop them moving as much from VP. Also, of course, together with the Doka Bean might be a recipe for a bit of a quicker push at some point through the sites. As soon as they find themselves an opening and have themselves an ID formulated, those two together could be a deadly combo on isolating any player and taking them down as a result of it. The issue is that VP has been very aggressive early on, and they have been very happy to just lean into fights even after they have been spotted. Example on your screen right now, Pasha. One drone spotted him, second one is about to. He doesn't mind, he's just going to be taking a fight.
Benja trying to dig his way right towards the side of Sushi. He's, just missing out on a bit of a wing of Shepard inside the site. Another call. Another bit of awareness, and it's Doki this time that might find himself in the near miss. The flash towards the top. But do they know of that? There it is, Doki with an important first take. Pulls himself away as he drops the camera there. The quick reveal of suddenly the position of the player, but there's the one on the reveal inside the site itself. Isn't going to overextend, knows his angles, and Dan's able to win out his against Alamau. There's at least one fight of that push of 3 that's come together, but it was a very good coordinated bit of motion there from G2. They knew when they could take the first fight, they knew when they could lead into that on the second itself, but they still need to try and get Blur with that kit in towards the site with some safety and without the vertical lock-in. Not the easiest ask.
It's the issue right, and now trying to get back into that horizontal flooring as well. It's Benja. It's getting into it finally, finding his second of the round. For now, trying to get himself inside a barbecue, still very afraid of a potential push to come through as Benja flashes himself. Well, he's not really busy on working on that. Joystick rotating around as well. He's going to be able to find one, but Blur already getting that diffuser down. 45. Counting down. The damage being taken on the VP side there.
Yeah, caught over the angle as Blur gets one more for his trouble, and
the EDD killed him. Attacker walked through the Capcan trap, killed himself and the last defender through the hedge. It is a way to end the round.
I mean,
it's not often I've seen that happen.
Yeah,
it counts as a team kill. It's not like you don't.
It counts as a team kill. It was Dan's kill.
Well, I mean, that's a new way to style on your opponent in the end there. But G2, they will find themselves a second round after basically, you know, making good use of the Lion and the Dokkan. Like I mentioned before, like they work well in tandem. Suddenly the players cannot really move anymore. And if you know where they are, based on drones, based on information or prior knowledge, that's just easy pickings. Like you just follow the sound and you pre-fire it as you come around the corners. Not much they can do against it.
I mean, Dokkan is in a terrifying sort of position in the game. They're unbelievably strong. You have them sort of outright as their own terrifying force there. And as I said, the unity that was offered alongside how they moved as well was the thing that I loved it, because we've seen the operators played, we've seen that collection and the sort of coalition of what G2 likes to bring. The operator selection hasn't changed too much, but how they approached it there, with Doki going for the first swing, Ben just sort of prepared for the next. They're not just throwing themselves in. You could see the communications on, okay, we've got a bit of pressure here, we need to now put a bit of pressure here and pull it back, and that is what they were sort of missing as the magic touch. Can they get it one more time here?
Coming around, Benja quickly trying to get himself in from the pantry. He's hoping to chase down an entry kill because that's what he usually does. But again, not really having the best of influencer throughout this entire match. He just managed to find a great double kill in the previous round, and instantly you see that big success that G2 has. But Joystick just leans in, and this is what I said. You can spot them, you can do whatever you want to them, but VP, they're not afraid to just lean back into the fight.
I mean, he's happy to be terrifying, let's be honest. Joystick this game does get traded out, but you can sort of see a bit of pressure is trying to be reclaimed there on the far side. There's the slight swings of the cap can just in the top corner. They're making sure things are still questionable. Things are not safe, and there it is. It's not safe. Dan gets Blur. The kit is now outside of anyone's hands. The prox pops off. It's been in the same place every single time round, and it's given the game away a couple of times there. That's 2 kills we've had on the back of that prox over 2 of the rounds we've played up here.
Great use from VP there, able to just punish G2. Sama to be tossed on. They know exactly where he is now. Shepard playing close with that shotgun on an elevated angle. It's going to be very difficult to deal with here. As Doki opens up wide, he's going to be able to provide some support. They were afraid that someone might be hiding in a corner. Now that's not the case, and as Alamau's about to be swinging around the corner with the SMG, he needs to be finding these kills, but they know exactly where they're coming from because that default cam was still up.
Now as we pass into this, the final minute, there was late executes on here before in the 1 versus 1. They've been able to sort of still keep the pressure hot, even with the body disadvantage, but how much of it is Virtus.pro just sort of taking the step off? There's Doki putting the step right back on. 3 apiece with Pasha getting a quick response. One of their own up the house stairs. They just swung around the corner, so Virtue knows one's close, but he's hoping he's gone undetected here and he can get this. The take sees the side of one, can't get the full lock in, does just find the end of it, but that gives the game away as to where he is. They had the shotgun lock close up for the other fight. He wants to see if he can bait an engagement from the mirror. They're not giving him anything in this 2 versus 1. There it is, the swing round, the pre-fire and the pepper, the statement that they know where he is. 15 seconds. And he's just got to see if he can try and pick up a new, slightly different angle. There's a pre-fire. Can he take a fight either side? It's the first is going to be against him.
The mirror actually playing with the IT-12S as well around the corner, was ready to go with the small handheld shotgun to try and use it anti-personnel. It's not ideal for it, but almost worked out. If it wasn't for the English shotgun to take the fire first. And Virtus.pro, they have improved on their previous record as they played against Wild. They now have a 4-2 split rather than the 3-3. Next order of business is to win an attack and then win a second one to put themselves up onto map and series points. And what a comeback that would be. Allowed to play under the name of the organization again, all and everybody back on the team, roster revitalized. And they instantly would take the first place in Europe, like they never left. I'm living for it. I want to see it.
It's a story. I think that's it. It's a terrifying sort of story if you're up against them, but if you're a fan of EU in the region, you want as many of our teams to be contenders as possible. G2, current hammer holders, recent hammer holders. It was a great performance by them against a lot of teams on a death run across a lower bracket where every game was do or die. If we're now getting the pressure put to them by Virtus.pro, who are once upon a time, in terms of these players, not specifically this org, our top end danger, well, I mean, you kind of get a bit excited as an EU fan, right?
All the reason to get excited as an EU fan, because now you're seeing that, you know, these world champions that looked so good, they can bleed best of 3s. VP seeming to be in a very good spot here to perform well. And what was it they said on the desk about the amount of grand finals they've played and attended right here, and then, you know, just dropped off after they were the second best team in the world because they were out of the roster. Like, the potential has always been there. At some point, they will become a championship winning team as well. Alamo in a very crucial position here. He doesn't know it yet. But there's definitely some VP players around, and if he falls, if he doesn't hit that first pump, that is going to be the black stairs handed over. That's VP suddenly having a very solid ground to work with here.
Yeah, he has to be very well prepared and very ready. Doki, I mean, just look at the G2 players. They're holding themselves steady, but a lot of them are in that ready to swing position. A lot of them are in that ready to make a mark position, get this round off to the start. Alamau has pulled himself up, doesn't quite get the protection on his own shield, so goes to the bottom of the stairs, sees it being shot open from the window itself, and he's going to suffer the call too. There is just a cacophony of pressure, and he used that smoke canister to buy himself a bit more time as time starts to be ticked away from him. Every single Flores drone that removes another ADS, he knows is just a grenade that's more likely to follow soon.
With a calm before the storm coming through, grenades landing, they know about the player close, but how are you going to be dealing with them? This grenade should just be caught off by the ADS. Alamau going aggressive, gets the first kill. Doki will actually get the confirm instead. The smoke will be stopping Joystick from moving in, but that doesn't actually scare him off. He's just going right after Alamau. Where's that? Hello. No, he's not actually gonna go for a Shepherd though. Leans into the serial laser gate, gets the kill, and survives with his life. Quite sure if Emmy dropped, but we continue as Doki finds one more. Blur looking to go aggressive. It's only 2 members left of VP. They cannot afford to lose this very first round. Shepherd, he has the diffuser. He needs to try and get away to plant it, but it is going to be potentially covered up. Pasha, he is the man that needs to be there for his teammate here. He needs to make sure that the cover is on point as Doki comes around the corner, locks it off. Blur gets a kill himself as well, and it is going to be G2. That is leaning back into it. They are getting that first round of the defense locked in.
I mean, they had to, with how things were sort of piecing together, with how close to the wire was. The tack timeout is used. They're 1 map away from a second place, which they do not want, especially on Skyscraper. They have to make sure that they pull themselves back level before trying to push themselves over the edge on the opposite end as well. There needs to be that G2 that's terrifying. There needs to almost be the statement of being like, yeah, you're playing good Siege, but we're still number 1. We're still playing better Siege.
That's what G2 hopes to show. As we are here still on map number 2. VP currently that 1 map in the lead, now also a round in the lead. What has just been 2. As G2 setting up their defenses again, we're headed over towards the secondary site. Exhibition. And as the mirror comes out, you're looking at VP's side, there's no direct counter to it in terms of like a Twitch. There is going to be the Selmas that could be used to open up those windows. But often, like, do you want it? Also, I'm not quite sure where the mirror windows are going to be located. I would assume that's going to be up on the top floor near the actual exhibition room. Yes, it will be. This Benja will be playing below to stop any verticality out there. He's going to try and play his life there, make sure he at least wastes as much time as he possibly can, and maybe even pick up some kills on the way out.
Virtus Pro, they went in with a bit of an attempted sneaky first foot here. They took a bit to cook, a bit to boil, and it allowed Alamau to do all the heroics that he did on the back of Black Stairs for as long as he did. And then, obviously, with push coming to a shove, the less time you have to try and get that execute down is when things can become dangerous for keeping your head locked in, especially with how compartmentalized this map is. It's a lot of shoeboxes, a lot of small squares and rectangles tucked together, with a lot of corners to clear because of it. The drone rolls close to Doki. Doki wants to get rid of it, but he's also in a position to sort of wait for it as the calls will stop some of the awareness and some of the watch coming through, and some of the rotations of the G2 players pull themselves a little bit back, just keeping an awareness that Virtus.pro haven't just run to the site, have they? Because look how far away they are, and look at what Virtus.pro is eyeing up.
To at least find some quick pace here, but they're still not fully certain if they can go for it. It's going to be a bit of an entrance from down below. Joystick, he definitely should have been heard by Benja as he just walked by. And then that big question is Benja going to be leaning in, or is he going to be staying put, waiting for a free kill as they try and rotate around? Because Doki now coming in to support as well. Dan, I believe he just went for a jump in, shut the mirror window, and got himself back out.
I mean,
wasting any time out there.
Yeah, it's a bold move, and it's paid off this time, and it sort of shows, as I said, like G2 have to have an awareness just where Virtus.pro are, because I think they were knocking a bit closer to the door than maybe G2 had the full read on. You can see they've tucked themselves generally all the way over there now. And with 2 minutes gone, you've got 50 seconds now for Virtus.pro to try and find the final step. I don't know if Virtus.pro maybe knew how empty the site was when they were sort of right on the shoulder and the side of it. They're taking control of Shrine. They're forcing the player out. It's Virtue caught in the rotate. And the first body falls. Pasha goes down in the second follow-up with what sounds like a C4 on the far side. They're in a dangerous position on Terrace door, and as Blur waits for this slow move to come, it's Benja that gets the lock onto one. There's the fight, and Dan wins it out. A great take onto Blur. Doki steps in. The C4 doesn't get the catch, but they do have it. The VIP wall opened, always peppers some heavy shots through as Benja finds Dan inside, but Joystick and Alamau, and it's all over the shop. Suddenly it's just Alamau. He's looking for the shaky engagement, but Virtus.pro has him surrounded.
Every single kill VP got there was when a G2 player just killed someone through a rotation, then turns around to engage on the opposite side, and then a VP player just comes in from the rotation someone of their teammates just died from to clean up the mess. Every single time these G2 players got shot in the back because they were diverting their attention, and then the breach or the doorway that was being used by VP suddenly lands them a kill. It's very well done by VP. Just playing that trading game, playing on contacts, like, oh, he's focusing on me now. It's safe for you to go in. Then in Russian, of course, because I doubt they would be speaking English that way. And then just finding the success that way, you know, opening up the side and then just using those angles, basically making it so G2 cannot go anywhere anymore. And now you're 2 rounds away from being first seed. That would be, like, amazing for them after the year they've had. Or rather, the year they didn't have.
Yeah, I think that's the main statement of it, isn't it? It's not so much that Virtus.pro sort of dropped off by their own entire volition. There was obviously something outside of their hands which tragically removed them from the game for a period of time. And then since then, it's been the rebuild. It's been the rundown.
All right, Virtus.pro, you got that 1 round you also got against Wild. Here you get more. That's what we're aiming for here. Can you get that next step? Now, these captain traps are going to be hacked out by the clutch drone. Of course, it's a very bright blue light that's flashing through there, but let's say you come in from the restaurant area, you just turn left through that door, you might not be checking those captain traps. It's all about the way you're coming from. At least they are neutralized. They don't no longer hurt your own team in terms of, like, the attack doesn't get hurt by them anymore. That means they just have that bit of extra safety to walk through. Few mines as well being shot. I mean, that just allows you to jump in. And there's no sound cue that you have in terms of the goo mine that pulled, which might make Benjamaster less inclined to actually watch through any of these verticals to see if someone is down below them.
That is
so many hacks.
Yeah, cleaning up every single time we've got back to him. He's hacking something fresh, and you know, the Bravo, it's a powerful gun in the right hands. Dan's hands are pretty good, and the gadget, if it's able to sort of roll itself around, it's sure quite boxy, but it's very quiet and it's very quick. Pulling off Joystick, quick in, quick back out. Doesn't want to sit around and sees what happens if he sits around. So instead, they're sort of going for that smash appearance and pull back, always with the pings on the loose player. The drone right inside the site, getting the read on the motions of Doki.
Oh, that's going to be dangerous! He thought it was going to be safe, didn't bother to check up on his drone after the call and gets taken out. Benja finds Shepard as well. And now VP, they're finding themselves 2 down. So much work done by the clutch drone. Dan will find something back. The question is that going to be too late? Because you lost those two so, like, unfortunately, because they thought it was going to be safe and they could go for a hunt.
I mean, tragedy as well. Caught him in the middle of an animation of deploying and could not get the connection. Doki gets away with it. Benja obviously getting one as well. There's another for Doki. And they've been able to remove Virtue. Pasha's going for the pressure onto Benja, who's just holding quite close. Moves in, but the swing is going to come from... Oh, I'm not entirely sure what angle. Joystick is still on the roam up. Have the single loose player, the Frost Mat. Yeah, just gonna knife it.
Dangerous move. You might just step a bit too close and get yourself stuck in it. But, you know, worked out this time.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, there's Pasha getting one. They're inside the site. Joystick is to your right, not that far right. And with only Pasha trying to find their way around. This is G2's round. They keep themselves back and forth, but they don't need back and forth. They need to find a second in a row, and they go back to the site where they did it before, I assume, next.
Especially those first two picks, very crucial for G2 there, because the idea of VP there was like, okay, someone just walked into pantry, I'm going to call, and I'm going to be jumping in. The call was meant to distract Doki. However, he didn't really care about it. Just walked back in, he's like, let that phone ring, it's not going to be hurting me too much. Puts down an extra goo mine and sees someone jump in. So it's perfect timing for Doki. It's not something they were expecting on Virtus Pro's side. Because they were thinking, that's a free kill. Like, I can just jump in afterwards. The goo mine is hacked. They do not know I'm inside. Unfortunate timing.
I mean, yeah, it was almost that moment where it was like he had the check, he had the read, and they just sort of tried to go for the execute by themselves on the back of it. The fact that there was two players as well, there was someone else had made their way in.
Someone just appeared.
It's siege timing.
It's like, that would be a Tim Death.
That's a Tim Death.
Yeah.
Attackers must locate.
Like, everything is clear, goes for the phone call, suddenly there's like 3 people in the room just aiming at your window. Out of nowhere. Either way, VP still very close to be taking it here. All they need is 2 rounds, and G2, well, there's still that 1 map down, so they need to close this one, and then they need to be going over towards the 3rd and win it on Oregon. There's a lot to ask.
There is. And that's the sort of pressure of the 3rd map, of the danger of we've got to keep going. There's more and more and more siege. I think there always is. Flores making their way around. It's so rare to see someone on the roof there.
You don't often see it.
No.
Great way to get your Flores drones in, but unfortunately shut down, not able to actually get any damage done. So small amount of information gathered, but that's literally going to be about it that you've achieved with that RC return. This Dan, I believe, has rotated out. It's going to be using his RCs in a different way. One that doesn't require him to be on the roof. Very far removed from all the action. There's a full rotate coming out from VP. Everybody's just moving up this way. Very dangerous, though, because Doki, I believe, is on the staircase of house, just ready to pick someone up. Now, phones are going off, so he's turning that off in the meantime. Joystick must have heard that. Someone below needs to be careful to not be hunted out here, but he's also aware of the fact that someone could be around, so wanted to get that grenade in the right place. Decided against it, and that might actually miss them a kill twice now. First for not going for the staircase, and now for not committing to the actual grenade.
Oh, look at that, hot droned all the way up. Jace Stokie there, who we've seen lives lost on that exact rotate that he suffers, but there's Benja and Alamau getting one apiece. They're holding on to the opposite end. They're swinging for more, but Shepard does get it. However, all of this combat, all of this violence is happening on the far other side. They've got a minute now. They've got a minute to try and get their way to the other side. They've lost Joystick and 2 grenades. They've lost the Flores drones, or what remained of them. They still have the capabilities of hard breach, but it's been a lot of time and a lot of bloodshed and utility for a cost of just the other side of the top floor.
They're not going to be used to burn the Sir Laser Gate out there. It's going to be allowing them to move through whilst still holding onto the utility. You never know if that's going to be useful afterwards. But once will be stepped upon, still 2 grenades in pocket. Those might be crucial. If you manage to find 1 player with that grenade, suddenly you open up so much extra space.
Oh, they almost found 2!
Virtual almost found 2 instead. That would have been huge. But the opening to gold is there. It's just that there's not enough time. They need to find a smoke because Alamau still has 2 in pocket.
Well, they're trying to get the tuck in. He wants to just be close enough to get the prompts. There it is. He tucks himself around. That's a misthrown smoke. Do they know it's going down? They might hear the ping on the back of it. There is the close fire. There's that smoke canister, but it's a post plant, and Shepard's suffering damage, but he's got the kit. Doki is able to get to it. It's a 2 versus 1 at this point with Doki and Alamau either side. They have him pinned to a corner. They might see if they can try and go for the engagement. Alamau suffers, and they want to have the cover for the plant. That's the important step. Doki, he's holding on. He pops up to try and get the fight and gets the down and the finish. A triple for Doki and an even game for G2.
Get attempt by Pasha there as the diffuser went down. It's really all he could do at that moment in time. Wasn't really in the best spot to deal with it. The missed smoke canisters there almost made it quite tricky for G2 to deal with, but as you mentioned, even game, 5-5. Now it's an even sprint to the end for both of them, and Virtus Pro is going to be using their timeout to have a bit of a chat because they realize what's at stake here. It is the extra SI points, it's the extra, batch of money you're going to be getting out of this, but also that first seed. And I think that these players on VP, they definitely want to be making that statement of, hey, we were second in the world. We were then discontinued by our organization. We've now have that second home. We are here to show what we're worth. And not that any of us doubt about it.
Oh, no.
Not that any of the viewers at home doubt about their skills. But it's just them wanting to show it. Show they still have it.
Now G2, they find themselves putting the pressure on for what really feels like the first time this series. And sure, they had a couple of rounds in the first map. They had a couple of rounds up to the first half of this, but it never really felt like it was G2 driving the pace. They're starting to get there. We're starting to see that multifaceted approach from the guns of their team. We're starting to see Benja. We're starting to see a little bit more. Are you starting to believe, Neo?
Am I starting to believe?
Please tell me you've seen
yet.
The Matrix.
I have seen the Matrix, yes. I have. I have seen that movie. Even though, I'm still probably being flamed for not having seen Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen Lord of the Rings. This is a federal crime.
I'm sorry, I haven't been arrested yet. I'm probably still a wanted man in many countries.
The police are coming. I've called them numerous times.
You don't have my address.
Damn. Well, look at this. Dan going up on the far end with the rest of the team. Quick attention towards maybe the loose players here onto the side. It's something where you wonder what they talked about, and maybe it is that matter of let's try and pinch some of this early on. They're still setting up. They're still exploring. There is usually about a minute left before the first engagements start to really come together here. The double prep on the Claymores. Safety first.
I have safety first. It's rule of the business, you need to make sure that everybody's well-being is being considered first. And then you start considering the not well-being of your opponents. It's a nice way to put it, I guess. Hoping that there is a magnet in place to stop this grenade from catching a player. Yes, there is. Benja will catch Joystick, though. A very welcome opening kill on the side of G2. Of course, as they are looking to be pushing this towards a map number 3. Second grenade about to be tossed in. Pasha's still not certain, though. There might be a second magnet ready. Yes, there is. Playing against OMI, those grenades were never supposed to hit.
The calls come out. He's got the impact. He's ready to sort of hit and run if he needs to. And Dan hits nearby Benja as well. But, we talk about what they're clearing and when they're doing it. Still looking at the site up in Exhibition. You're still looking at far on the other side. They've lost bodies on the far end. They've lost so much utility just trying to get the players out of these positions. And at what point is it the sort of sunk cost fallacy? At what point do you go, well, we've put enough here. We need to start paying some attention elsewhere and try and pull them back and direct the firefight into something a little bit more on our terms. Dan, he's going to get this swing breach open. He can hear the mute jammer, though, and I'm not sure if they've got anyone in a position to get that open. They have the pocket EMP, but they might need a more expensive use of it.
Not deciding to go for it. Dan already rotated back around. Be a better way for it. There's still some good pings coming through, though. They know exactly where these players are. Fire is about to be coming down, but they need to make sure to have the angle for him to stop Alamau from actually being able to rotate out. He's just looking through the smoke, finds another kill, takes a lot of damage before he's being shut down. But still, they wanted to remove him freely, but being able to look through the smoke as the Warden is what netted him another kill.
I mean, that was it. The fire came not long after. They sort of expected them to try and tuck into the position and maybe just spray through, but still, when you have an awareness, you can get the first. There's Dan picking up the rest of the pieces. The C4 pops a bit premature, but with 10 seconds left, what really is premature in this window? They're all caught on the swings of G2. G2 find themselves 1 round away from taking us to map 3, and VP are 1 round away from OT.
That's what they need to aim for now, otherwise we are headed to Oregon. And again, they only managed to find that 1 attacking round against Wild. Can they improve that scoreline as well, like they did with their defense? Now will be a massive time to do so. Also the only time you can do so.
Attackers need to locate
Which makes it the massivest time of all.
Which makes it the most biggest and massivest time of all, indeed. To get that extra round. Of course, we're headed towards an overtime after, and I'm not quite sure who's starting on which side. Could very much be that VP has to play 2 attacking rounds. But rather go out in OT than go out on regulation.
attackers.
G2 still sort of driving themselves into this. They're still finding those little pockets and pieces, and Benja, I mean, the return to form over the past 4 or 5 rounds has been a bit of the secret sauce they've been missing, that's for sure. Still, VP, they're so close. They're pushing themselves what is technically the tertiary site, but obviously they lost this the last time they were here. A couple of little mistakes, a couple of little missed moments. You think if, you know, maybe the swing engagement onto the kitchen window itself had gone into their favor. You're looking at a bit more direct, and there's as direct as it gets. The opening kill within the opening 20 seconds.
It's exactly what they need on VP's side, though. Take out Alamau. I mean, it is playing on the Valkyrie. It means, you know, going to be able to watch their own camps now. But also that C4 out of play. That's most importantly, that piece of utility. Also, Alamau has been able to put quite some kills on the board throughout this game so far. Not just this map, also the previous one. So moving in from that board is always a nice help. Breach, though, is going to be blocked. There's going to be a Mew Gemmer on the opposite side. They need to clear out before the Selma will pop. Smash is making his way through. They're clearing out some of these Black Eyes. There's still one hidden. I believe they might just found it. Of course, due to the hacks they have on the phone of always, it'll be way easier to find those Valkyrie camps.
Pasha starting their swing round onto the side of Drum. They're looking for, well, the hole in the floor underneath the pressure inside. Blur's gonna get himself tucked a bit closer to the rotate. They can pop the fire if they think they're under too much pressure, and one of them does seemingly get popped from a slightly different angle. But you can see the width here that's coming from Virtus Pro. Pasha is tucked close. Joystick's just on the swing, waiting for somebody round on the far side. Dan on Shrine. It's a full sort of hammer across the top they want to hit here and catch the players. Pasha takes a lot of damage, rotates his way back out because he doesn't want to get caught through the breach in the hole that happened when he's that close to the danger. He thinks his ticket might have been red. Now with a grenade going down to the back line, Benja just on the cusp of death, picked up by the rest of it. Shepard does get the end of the kill.
He was just kind of looking at the grenade rolling in, though. He's like, oh, that's a grenade. Almost lost his life by it. Rotation coming down from Blur, not quite fully off the stairs yet, but he is, you know, still pretty far down. Luckily, though, the side is going to be on Barbecue. Virtue finds the kill onto Shepard. Quite necessary. The grenade, though, will find Virtue. It's only up to Blur and Doki now. They need to start falling back towards that side. It is on that ground floor, so that's what they need to protect. But as Pasha finds Doki, Blur, he needs to hide. He needs to be in the perfect position to strike and waste just enough time to not give VP any chance to get this diffuser down on the ground. But as he's been spotted and been taken down, it means we are going to overtime to decide whether or not it's going to be Virtus Pro to lock off this map, or if G2 will push us to map 3.
Well, they got the one just when they needed it on that site there, Virtus Pro, and with some of their quickest motions in terms of attention paid towards the G2 players. G2 are starting on their defense. They still have that in their favor, and they're definitely warmed up into the game itself. And this way they don't have to play that third sort of site. They can stack on karaoke, they can stack on exhibition if they find themselves there. Whereas we're also sort of looking at, you know, how the rotations of sites has come on the side of Virtus Pro. Their first pick has been an almost from G2. You think at the very first round of this game, where there was a second difference between it technically being over or not. It's still so close.
It's very close. And now VP on those 2 attack rounds in the next 3. Basically, they need to just find one in a defensive round, and it's over. If they do not get their next round, then they need to win this and the 3rd. Those of you unaware with the or unfamiliar with our overtime rules, it's a best of 3. We swap sides every single round. It's 2 out of the first 3 wins. So whoever gets to 8 first.
Thanks, Zap.
No worries. So VP, can you get an entry kill again like you just did? Can you then afterwards just completely collapse on top of everything that G2 owns on this side, on this map, and secure yourselves with another round? Nate from below, potentially. Seems like they're pushing some pressure down onto the house area.
Yeah, they're looking for something here, and they did get, you know, they've had early catches on the other side of the map. They've also had big slows on the other side of the map as well. It's really down to just what might be gifted to them. They're going for the grenades. They're going for a catch here on a player. The calls come together. They have the ping. They have maybe Doki's number. He rotates out there, I think, just in time. But with the cam watching as well, he has the awareness to tuck himself a bit closer back. The cam goes down. Joystick, they still got the pings on the player. And Doki, he's being watched that whole time. If anything, he's a bit lucky to escape with his life there.
Lucky to escape twice. He moved away just in time so the grenade wouldn't catch him. Also, didn't take a single point of damage from the gunfight right afterwards. Doki's literally been the driving force for G2 in this entire match. So if he would have fell first and now Benjo was the next in line to actually be receiving some pressure, it would be a very difficult round for G2. So good they managed to hold on because, well, VP knew literally about their every move.
Now, about 20 seconds faster than they got the control over here last time, they're able to pull themselves inside house, pull themselves across the VIP and start putting pressure towards Drum, towards Terrace, towards the big split. Potentially as the drones roll through, it's sometimes a bit of a brick wall. You still have to try and draw some of the focus elsewhere, open up at least another side to the angle and approach, and Joystick slinks his way in via Shrine. And Virtus Pro has wrested a bit of control, but without the players behind it, it's still a dangerous approach as they've suffered before. Benja goes down. Alamau suffers a lot at the same second. Blur is holding an aggressive position, looks away at the worst possible time, but there's a frost mat that's caught always in the meantime. Down inside Geisha. Joystick slips in with the kit. Gonna see if he can get the stick in the meantime. Hope the cover comes. The smoke canister will not stop it, but the C4 will just be a second too late. Post plant here, 40 seconds, and well, there's Doki getting one back. A 3 versus 4, but the player back up now. They're at least all holding guns. Pasha holding the trigger. Alamau gets one more. There's the fight. They had the last 2 in the box in the corner. Pasha's down. And it is G2 clutching that round back.
It started so well for Virtus Pro there, finding the kill, finding the almost injure, and of course, yes, the frostmat, it hurts, and, you know, force him to rotate over, but the lack of verticality there from VP. No one down below to catch Virtue as he went for that C4. That probably cost him the round because, first of all, that would have been a kill. Second of all, that would have been Joystick secured and able and up and fighting. So G2 now, map point. Pushing again for map number 3. Now they will be on the attack themselves. They've been able to win 2. In their first half, they were attacking. Now they need to win 1 more. And it's over. Otherwise, we're going back towards the defensive round. Where's Virtus Pro struggling on their attacks themselves. So even if they lose this one, G2 doesn't spell the end of the series.
I enjoyed the Dan take your lasers off.
Yeah, you know, okay. Sometimes lasers do give you away.
It's a friendly bit of advice.
It's a friendly bit of advice. Like, hey, you might want to, you know, take them off right now so you don't give yourself away this round. Very important round we're up in.
Attackers must locate.
It's a friendly bit of advice done as 7-6 in a do or die first place game.
So sometimes you see, or often you see, lasers used on shotguns, like Shepards, the British shotgun, because it tightens up the spread. But what you do then is you often aim to the wall close to you that isn't actually inside of the opponent. Because that way you hide the laser from their view while still having the benefits from it. What a lot of players do not realize is that, you know, if you see a laser on one part of the wall, you can basically realize where that player is if you're smart enough. And have played the game enough, right? It's like you see the laser on the doorway, you know he's not on that side of the doorway, so you can just swing the other one and just go for a free fire. It's just how it goes. It just gives away your position so much.
G2, as I said before, they were quite close on their very first attack here. They've had those sort of dicey moments. It's just getting the actual confirmation at the end of it. Doki is underneath trying to fish. Blur's been very quick to get in. Isn't caught by Capcans this time around. There was a prox that was popping off to give some of the game away, but still just sort of setting themselves up for the angle. Shepard holding on, has the smoke canisters, and there's the first Talon shield removed by an impact, and there is still one left in the pocket of Dan as well, so they've got to use the second sparingly.
He's so careful around on that balcony. Yes, there's an ADS, but he's been willing to toss in a grenade earlier. He could have been having a double there if it was covered off just well, but always starts it off well. Finds Doki. That's that grenade underneath gone. That's a massive player removed as well. There's going to be some pinks coming through, but no true response from the grenade that Benja just tossed in. And that means he's going to try and go fishing elsewhere again.
Well, the fish doesn't quite get the catch, but it does open an angle, which they punish them through. Benja gets always. And suddenly it's open right up now. They're back in the 4 versus 4. Alamouse found his way through. He's concerned about a swing from Drum. He's concerned about a swing from the stairs as well. And there's somebody holding the angle. Benja's also under a bit of pressure and Pasha's on the chase. But Blur, he's going for the plant in the meantime. Amongst the chaos, he's tucked in on the window. He's trusting the cover. Another trade out happens. And the kit isn't going down. But there's Alamau still getting kills in the meantime. 40 seconds. And it's a 2 versus 3 with G2 holding some pressure and some of the cards. But Dan making sure that they can just stay a bit at bay with Joystick on the opposite ends in the door. They're trying to find the full scratch, trying to find the full bite, and the kit is still isolated. Dan digs in close just before the E1D and gets himself tucked in the position. What do you do? Banjo wants to go for the hop onto the back. They're trying to go for the pinch on the player. They know he's isolated. There's the reveal, and there's one. It's just down to Joystick in the 1 versus 2. Goes for the rotate. They punished him once upon a time, the very first round, the very first time they played this. There's one more. And we said it was in that room. He was positioning, suffered him with 3 seconds left in the same place. Can it be the thing that costs him out? Oh, he just lives!
He managed to hit 1 shot with the deagle, not the second. And we're going all the way to 15 to decide whether another map 3 is going to be played. Virtus.pro barely hanging on in here. Way too close for comfort. G2 so close to be winning that round, winning the map, and going to Oregon. But now they need to defend one more time. Exhibition and Office seems to be the play to go for.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
And Virtus.pro, all you need to do is attack one more time and you find yourself in first place. It hasn't been kind to you so far. But in the last 2 times you attacked, you managed to find those opening kills, and those have been crucial. Yes, you didn't win in round 13, but you got so close to it. If you manage to get that opening kill yet once more, you'll lock it off.
Well, I said it might come back to this site. It almost didn't. And they're doing everything to try and keep themselves going here. The spread of players with 6 breaking 10 kills in this game. I mean, it just shows how much there is to this, regardless of the fact that, yeah, both these teams are going to the major. only one of these teams is going to be able to call themselves the top.
Battle of the Titans between these two. Of course, one a very experienced roster, the other, well, a lot of experience on the players, but still together relatively new compared to, of course, the amount of time that people like Dan, Pasha, Joystick, Shepard have together. On the hunt for that first. That's the game changer. Checking for Capcan traps. There is a Capcan on the board, so it's always a good habit to have. Drones are checking with them as well, and Joystick now ascending the staircase on the back. He hopes to find that free kill, or at least the opening. It doesn't matter if you take a small amount of damage. As he punches the barricade there, that gives away the fact that someone's out there. It's just, do they expect him to be inside already? As Stan finds Benja and instantly gets out. He doesn't want to stick around.
I mean, it's the perfect thing. We've seen Virtus Pro try a couple of those sort of hop in, hop out, bits of pressure, Dan and Joystick, the pair of them, and finding some success, finding it early. In comparison to how long it's taken them before, it's dangerous for G2. Blur pulls back past the big open double window somebody was rappelling up to as he rotates. Another moment. It could have been costly. Joystick pressuring himself in, but with a minute 10, G2, they folded themselves back to site.
It's a lot of ground. They've just given up. They're not looking to hold on to things like Drum, like Terrors. They're giving that away to VP now. Of course, knowing that there's only a couple doorways that can really go from, but there's still 3 grenades in pocket. And we've seen VP, as soon as they're allowed to open up these walls, play these crossfires perfectly. So if they do that in these next 50 seconds, there might be problems. And as the first set of Excaras are going to be deployed, Doki has just been spotted on that drone. No, he actually hasn't been. He finds the kill onto Joystick, instantly falls back. The timer is equal to C4 pops. It's not going to be finding the kill.
No, he just sort of hoped he could get someone premature, maybe give the game away of, look, they know I'm down here. They might just try and put the pressure onto the site itself and take the territory. There's 30 seconds, and he was a little bit eager, a little bit misplaced for where the C4 needed to be, but as they drive themselves through, Pasha has the reveal and the ping on a single player. He takes the hatch drop. That'll be another read. The C4 just in a position, but not quite blown as of yet, hoping somebody drifts in and tries to get the plant on the far end. There it is. The slip through. Blur and Doki with always getting Alamau on the end. It's suddenly just always in the 3 versus 1 situation, but he's out of time, and we are going to a third map.
Virtus Pro unable to lock it off. Doki crucially down below. Able to find that one kill and get himself back to side and fight it in an even manner. And G2, after a very hard-fought victory here on Skyscraper, are